Hey, it's your friend Jay. Welcome back to Luminous Tarot. And Dr. Koiting here is already supervising me, so it's gonna be a good one.
I am watching you, human.
And the deck I'll be showing today is a Crystal Tarot. This one has got a bit of a mystery around it. The original one was released in the 90s, only as a major arcana, and this year it was re-released by Lo Scarabeo as a new edition. And I can't wait to show it to you. So Crystal Tarot comes with this beautiful packaging, and I'm impressed with the recent changes in Lo Scarabeo quality. There's another deck that's coming soon that I'll show you in the next couple of days. That one has very similar quality and cardstock. But going back to Crystal Tarot, so you got the name of author Elisabetta Trevisan. She's an artist behind this, and Fabio Albertini is the person behind the guidebook. So you've got some examples of the cards you'll see just in a couple of moments. And it's a Lo Scarabeo release. What I like about this deck, it also opens with this quite a big sticking out part here, and the cards don't fall out. And in the box, well, we got a bit of a introduction, and there's a Lo Scarabeo pamphlet somewhere around here too. The actual guidebook, which is quite nice. We'll have a look at that when we get to one card pool. And the actual deck. So deck has this beautiful psychedelic, like almost pattern or snake skin. The cards don't have gilding, which I honestly don't mind. The cards come with this frame, which is quite beautiful. I think it fits the overall design and also opens all kinds of possibility for trimming the deck and customizing it a little bit. And one thing I really like about this deck is that Lo Scarabeo did improve the quality of the cardstock. So this one has got 0.4 and 44, let's say, millimeter thickness, which is even thicker than my Morgan Greer deck. And because of that, the cards are slightly thicker, which adds extra bulk. Just give you a comparison. This is the Morgan Greer. So you get like an almost extra 1/4 with this one. So well done, Lo Scarabeo. They finally heard our complaints, I guess, after me recording videos talking about that non-stop. As the name suggests, the Crystal Tarot has something to do with stained glass. And the artwork is very much aligned with that. But I do like how it's still not fragmented like mosaic. It's actually managed to keep the stained glass look that you see in churches, but it still looks like a painting. And it's quite beautiful. I would say that Major Arcana is my favorite. And in a few moments, you will know why. And by the way, if you want to see the whole deck, there is a flip through at the end of this video. And Minor Arcana is a little bit different from what you just saw. Aces are my favorite, I would say. Like this one here reminds me of sun. You can actually see the sun in the middle. Ace of Chalices is another beautiful one. It's almost like got a face. Cups in this deck became chalices, but other than that, it's pretty much Tarot de Marseille structure. And this is where it gets a little bit different from the rest of the deck. I suppose the Minor Arcana is a bit more peepish. Now, it's not peepish in a very bare way. You still see a lot of detail in the symbols, but nevertheless, you're not going to see any other scenes you're probably used to from Rider-Waite. So I would say that this is more Tarot de Marseille style deck. And this is 5 of chalices here, or 5 of cups, right? So you really have to make your own meaning out of it, which is a bit of a downside for me because I primarily read with Rider-Waite style decks. And I do like imagery because it helps me to read intuitively. In saying that, however, the court cards are quite beautiful, like this one here. You've got a bit of a gold coin and the knight riding the horse. And you can see he's connected to earth for this connection between the coins and the stem of a tree coming through. And Dr. Korting here was specifically upset about not having cats in this deck, which unfortunately gonna result in dropping a couple of poles on the cat meter. Sorry about that. Now let me show you some of my favorite cards in this deck, and we'll talk about in detail what that look like. So the Fool card here, really love this card. Same theme. We lost the dog here too, but you can see this similar carefree person about to jump off a cliff. Cliff here looks very lush. I like the greenery behind it, and you still see the little sack in the back and everything pretty much the same. The Lovers card remind me of Slavic legends for some reason deck. There's a lot of the sun motifs here and the hair. Quite beautiful. I would like to know what the background story behind this. Also the birch trees here in the back is very much reminiscent of some of the Slavic images. The Death card here symbolizes to me how the deck treats any harsh scenes. You don't see skulls lying on the ground here, and it's all dreamlike almost. And it still conveys the original message. The Tower, similar scenario. We have a deck, the tower falling apart with the person falling out here, and the lightning, which looks like a painting, and the clouds that look almost rainbow-like. The Star is probably one of my favorite cards. I just like this sort of vibrant energy about it. We also have a bit of a coins motif in the sky. Nevertheless, you still see it's the Star card. I also like how the colors used here. You don't see really contrasting colors. There's a bit of a green and blue palette with orange, and gives this deck quite a unique style. So based on my research, it looks like this deck evolved gradually from a 90s edition, only with Major Arcana cards, into subsequent releases. In 1995, I think it was another one in early 2000. And I can see this is evolution of the author's or the artist's work. That's why it probably feels multi-layered with so many small improvements. So the Ten of Swords, the brutality of the RWS is not present here because this is Tarot de Marseille deck, and it still gives you that tension and emotion, but in a very different way, with these swords pointing at each other, right? And Ten of Chalices, Ten of Cups. This is the family, the success, the celebration, emotional accomplishment card. You can also feel it here. So I would say this is not the same as reading with Tarot de Marseille, because there is much more to minor arcana peep cards that you see here. Let me show you the code cards of the Chalices suit so you get an idea what that looks like. So very common motifs between the four. And there's a progression here with the page moving to the qualities of the king. You can see that definitely look like they're slightly older people. The queen and Chalice is more experienced, I should say. And other than that, I think they're pretty much similar in the style. I also want to point out that there isn't a mastery element here. I would say that we're originally thought that the queen sits in the cup, but then you can say the knight is also placed in the cup. And the only difference between the knight here, he's not riding a horse on the cup. The king is standing next to it with the water splashing out, right? So I think this deck definitely has its own style, but then it doesn't really show you progression through any other means. Like, you know, if you remember Page of Cups in RWS, holding a cup with a fish in it, and he's close to the water but not really stepping into it, where here you don't really see the same symbolism as you would in RWS, though it still looks very beautiful to me. The deck shuffles well with occasional drop of a card. It seems to be slipping out a little bit, like this one here. And the cards have this semi-gloss finish. That's why they get that slippery feel to them, but it's not too bad. Now I also imagine that riffle shuffle is a possibility, but because the cards are quite thick, this could be a tiny bit of a challenge. But nevertheless, possible. And the cards are quite bendy, so my personal suggestion is don't riffle shuffle on this deck because you're probably going to end up needing to buy a new one. Unless you're really compelled to do that. Let's do one card pull and you get a chance to see how the deck reads and what the guidebook look like. Let's do a pull on tomorrow day for you, my viewer, and mine. Just get this card. And I was hoping we're not going to get a minor arcana card, but that's okay. So we got the Two of Swords here. Now, using the traditional or RWS meaning, I would say this will be a day of making a decision, whatever the decision may be for you. And I like how the card is split between the two. You have the water is still present, so this is kind of like a blend of Tarot de Marseille and RWS. And it also feels that whatever decision I'm going to make is going to be a right one. And I hope it feels the same for you. The guidebook, hopefully, is going to share some secrets with us on this one. So you've got Elisabette's name there, and Fabio is the person who designed the guidebook. I also, based on what I researched, found out that this is an enhanced guidebook. I don't know what the original or the previous release looked like. If you know, leave me a comment. I would like to know. The rest of the book is pretty standard. You see in Lo Scarabeo decks, there's a couple of examples of tarot spreads, relationship spread, and reflection spread, which suggests to me that this is a card for general reading and maybe personal or spiritual development as well, given the fact that it's using stained glass and there's a reference here. I would love to know more about the history and understanding how this evolved the deck from major arcana to minor arcana, what we're seeing today. But yeah, the rest is descriptions of card. One thing I want to say here, I also like how Fabio put the practical example of how to feel in certain, how to feel when you pull one of these decks, cards. And it's really talking about embodying the energy of a card. Like with Empress, for instance, it will say here, the Empress, when you dress up to go to a party, making you so beautiful to attract others. The risk of this card is being totally and solely focused on the outside and beauty without feeding your inner drives. It's quite nice, so it gives you this alternative meaning. A lot of it is slightly different, like a High Priestess card explanation is slightly different from how I would interpret it. Quite like that. Now, Minor Arcana didn't get that much detail here, so we got just a description of the card, and unfortunately, it's probably going to be similar to what we already know. The swords shown on this card are different, representing different ideas. In the sky, there is a possibility of union. I thought it was oceans. Or of being together or sharing. Meanwhile, on the ground, a rift emerges, a disagreement between visions. This is the card of duality, where diversity can be absorbed or create conflict. If you argue with a friend about a topic that interests you, you can decide whether to stay in the sky or on the ground. Very different meaning. I quite like that. The Crystal Tarot is a beautiful addition to your collection. If you're a reader who feel comfortable with reading Tarot de Marseille style deck with Pipish Minor, if you love the artwork from Elisabetta, or if you just love stained glass type artwork, this is definitely a good thing to pick. If you're a beginner, you can still read with this deck, but I would say it's going to be a bit of a challenge. Though they did make it a little bit easier by creating this hybrid of Tarot de Marseille type minors with Rider-Waite Smith. If you saw from a reading, you can still get the sense of the meaning of a deck from the symbols in the color palette. So with all of that, Dr. Kortnik and I had a chat and decided to give this deck, drumroll, 4 paws on a cat meter. It's a beautiful execution from Lo Scarabeo. I love how they improved the quality of the cardstock. the box, excellent presentation. The artwork and the symbolism, I think, evolved over time. It definitely feels multi-layered. The deck feels gentle and warm and really kind to work with it in your hands. I really love it. Now, on the downside, I would say the Peepish Minor Arcana is a definitely downside for me. I love my decks to have more images in them. It helps me to work with them intuitively, and because of that, it's 4, not 4.5 or 5. So, over to you. What do you think of this deck? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see another review with a really popular deck that was released recently, check out the Bonestone and Earthflesh video on my channel. And if you would love to see my entire collection, I'll also left you a video here on the side. Can't wait to see you again and bring you more interesting decks. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your flip through, and I'll see you in the next one.